Sonríe. José, sonríe.
José, sonríe. Hey, quiero presentar una amiga.
Hi. It's nice to meet you. Can I have a hug?
You dream about these moments, and it's not always common to be able to see it come full circle and actually be able to get to meet the child that we're advocating for with their family. But this one just really came together, and it's actually a little surreal to think about it over the last decade plus, and then to actually see those two standing right there that were just tiny little kids that are now just changing the world one person at a time. It's pretty cool.
¿Por qué te ríes, amigo?
Rod's Heroes has advocated for over 100 children now, well over 100. We're almost to 100 children that have Down syndrome, just Down syndrome, that have been adopted. One of the very first children, I'm talking like first 5, if not first 3, was this little guy right here. And the model that we would follow back in the day is that we would go one child at a time. So we would choose a child. The first child was in Lithuania, the second child was in Russia, and it was right around that third child, I just felt a heart for South America, and I wanted to see what was down there. And I looked and was able to find Vaughn. We believe wholeheartedly that when you allow yourself to get caught up in a cause bigger than yourself, you're gonna witness miracles. And we were just witnessing a miracle in the 7-year-old version of Brooklyn.
I'm Brooklyn Mackenzie. I'm 18. I'm a senior in high school. And when I was 7, I started selling jam to help Vaughn find a home.
I thought that he needed a family more than I needed a trip to Disneyland.
A Kaysville girl giving up a trip to the happiest place on earth to help an orphan find a home. Brooklyn Mackenzie says she became inspired after a local charity helped her new cousin find a home. She wanted to help some complete strangers adopt too. News specialist Mike Anderson has our 4th story in the top 5. We're going to end this segment on a more hopeful note, Mike. Now, this agency focuses on children with Down syndrome.
Yeah, that's right. You know, the founder's son was actually born with Down syndrome, and through that, he learned that those children in many other countries often grow up in orphanages, so he wanted to help them. He worked with many volunteers and donors over the past year and a half, but never anyone like the girl he met today.
Hi, Brooklyn.
Brooklyn Mackenzie may be a bit shy.
So nice to meet you. Can I get a hug?
But when it comes to selling Mom's blackberry jam,
Let's see what you say when you go to these houses.
for a good cause,
There's a group called Rod's Racing, and they help orphans with Down syndrome get adopted.
Brooklyn's cousin Gabe arrived from Russia last February. She started selling jam this summer, at first to earn money for a trip to Disneyland.
But then we got looking on the Rod's Racing website and saw Vaughn and talked about him and talked about her new cousin and how he has a family.
She realized instead she could help Vaughn have a home.
I thought that he needed a family more than I needed a trip to Disneyland.
Dozens of jars later,
We were about $500 short up until this last weekend when I heard that you had been fundraising.
just enough to finish a $15,000 goal. Founder of Rod's Racing, Brady Murray, says he became inspired through his son Nash. He learned that kids with Down syndrome in other countries aren't always as fortunate, and he wanted to help. Now he and more than 50 other runners dedicate their races to helping these children find loving parents.
As I looked at all these kids on there, there were hundreds. And there was no way that I was going to be able to choose just one. I wanted to help all of them.
And with the help of people like Brooklyn, he says he's getting there.
That's when miracles take place, and that's when these families are able to be united with these children.
Brooklyn may now have a few new souvenirs to hold her over, but she says Vaughn's dream is more important, to get the financial burden out of the way so he can get matched up with a family.
And that one day he could go to Disneyland.
And Brooklyn says she's not done. She plans to spend the next summer doing the same thing. And by the way, her mom says, don't worry about Disneyland. She will make sure that she gets there. And after all, how could you not after all that?
How could you not? You want to reinforce that kind of behavior, but what an impressive 7-year-old. My goodness.
A week goes by, nothing. A month goes by, nothing. A year goes by, we still couldn't find this little guy a family. 10 years go by, over a decade, and we're right on the verge of Vaughn never being eligible to be able to be adopted ever. We were down to the last second to find a family. And this amazing family answered the call to be able to adopt. And here he is now, where you see Brooklyn and you see Vaughn together with his brother. That's a miracle, right? But this is the best part. For a decade, I've been thinking, why did this guy have to wait so long to get a family? Why was that the case? And honestly, it was just simply a matter of timing, because Vaughn's story was able to open up doors for other children to be adopted. And let me share with you how that happened. We took this story of us getting this tiny little video clip and took it to the National Adoption Consulate in Colombia and was able to tell them, look what happens when we're able to tell these kids stories and be able to meet these kids. They get adopted, and they said, we believe you. Will you come to Colombia and be able to come and advocate for our children? We went to Colombia 2 different times that year, and because of Vaughn, because of this kid's patience to be able to be adopted, we have almost 30 children now that are being adopted, 4 of which were adopted by my own family. That never would have happened had it not been for this little guy right here, and had it not been for the miracles that transpired by all of these people that were a part of this. And so this is something super, super special to be able to have all of these very special people here together today. It's very symbolic of really the work that Rod's Heroes is doing, and really the work that all of us together are doing to be able to get the kids just like this guy, just like Vaughn, a family. Because what happens when a child gets a family is that it's like a superhero getting a cape. You can see that light that's in his eyes, and you can see that love that he's demonstrating and is showing. And if he didn't get adopted, he would be tucked away in a tiny little orphanage for the rest of his life, never to be able to let that light shine. And because this family was willing to be able to adopt, now this superhero has a cape, and he's impacting communities, he's impacting his school, he's impacting his family, he's impacting in the truest sense a nation. Because it's that light that I feel like could potentially change this nation to be what it needs to be. So this is incredible. Thank you for all being here, and this is pretty awesome. Brooklyn, as a 7-year-old, gave up a trip to Disneyland, and that's always weighed on me. And from what I understand, you've still never been to Disneyland. We need to see if we can't do something super special for these guys. And so we have something that we want to share with you. You ready for a special surprise? Yeah. Oh, yeah? We have a very incredible donor who would like to tell you that you are going to Disneyland. No way! Are you fired up, Ty? Yeah, there you are. You're gonna. And we truly want to give just a huge shout out to Corey at Big D. Big D made this happen, and so Big D Construction. It's got to be the Big D stands for Disneyland, just based off of the amazing thing that they did. So huge shout out to Big D and the work that they were able to do for us there. So you ready to do this?
No.
All right. Should we have a dance party now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's have a party.